Whoa, spoilers! Hello, young philosophers. My name is Kayla, and this is my film review of the movie Avatar. This movie depicts the philosophy of monism and New Age movements throughout, along with a few other minor philosophies that I noticed and am excited to share. First, we have to give recognition to the brilliant minds that brought this beautiful film to life. Let's meet the director, James Cameron. James Cameron was born August 16, 1964, and is a Canadian filmmaker who is best known for making science fiction films and epic films. He is not only the director of Avatar, but the director, writer, producer, and co editor of Avatar. I think that's pretty impressive. James first gained recognition for directing The Terminator. After that, he found further success with Aliens, The Abyss, Terminator 2, and the action comedy True Lies. His most famous piece, which I found very surprising, was Titanic, which earned him Academy Awards in Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Film Editing. The film, most similar to Avatar, The Abyss, is also based on the corporate desire to exploit aliens for profit. I thought I'd throw in a little fun fact about him. James became the first person to do a solo descent to the bottom of the Mariana Trench in 2012. He did it in the Deep Sea Challenger. Super random, but I thought I'd throw that in there. The cinematography is done by Mauro Fiore. Mauro won the Academy Award for the Best Cinematography at the 82nd Academy Awards for his work in Avatar. His most recent work was as the director of photography for Spider-Man: No Way Home. For the main cast, we have Samuel Worthington and Zoe Saldana. Samuel is the main protagonist, Jake Sully. He was born August 2nd, 1976, and is an English and Australian actor and writer. He also stars in and appears in other films such as Hacksaw Ridge, The Shack, Everest, Manhunt, and The Debt. James Cameron, the director, in an interview said that I think one of the hardest things to find in an actor of Sam's age is a combination of sensitivity, vulnerability, and strength, and Sam has all of that. I agree. The second main protagonist in this story is Neytiri, played by Zoe Saldana. You'd probably best recognize her from her role as Gamora in Guardians of the Galaxy. Zoe is a Dominican American actress and appeared in Star Trek as her first role. She appeared in three of the five highest grossing films of all time: Avatar, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame, something no other actor or actress has done. Her films grossed more than 11 billion worldwide, and she is the second highest grossing film actress of all time as of 2019. A couple other important characters are Dr. Grace Augustine, played by Sigourney Weaver, who I don't think needs much introduction because she's already super popular, and the main antagonist of the story, Colonel Miles Quaritch, who is played by Stephen Lang. Now it's time for the juicy stuff. The story is set in the year 2154 when humans have depleted Earth's natural resources, leading to a severe energy crisis. It begins with a mission by U.S. Armed Forces and the RDA, which is the Resources Development Administration, to an Earth sized moon called Pandora. This new world, Pandora, is a rich source of a mineral called unobtainium that Earth desperately needs. It doesn't describe what exactly unobtainium does, but we know it is a valuable energy source that the RDA sees as a solution to the catastrophe. Pandora harbors a planetary forest inhabited peacefully by the Na'vi, a blue-skinned, golden-eyed race of slender giants, each around 12 feet tall. They live in harmony with nature and worship a mother goddess named Awa, which I will get into later. To explore Pandora's biosphere, scientists use Na'vi-human hybrids called avatars. These Na'vi lookalikes are grown organically and controlled by humans through genetic matching and connecting their nervous systems with the human pair. While acting as avatars, they see, fear, taste, and feel like the Na'vi and have all the same physical adaptiveness. The main protagonist, Jake Sully, is a paraplegic former Marine that replaces his deceased identical twin brother as an operator of one of the avatars. He can do this because he is a genetic match for the avatar his brother created. Jake has a few different motives behind doing this. Honoring his brother's senseless death is one of them. He also said he was sick of doctors telling him what he couldn't do. He's been stuck with no use of his legs and limited mobility for so long, and he wants to know the freedom of movement again. Another thing he says is, all I ever wanted was a single thing worth living for, which introduces to us his search for meaning and purpose that develops throughout the film. He also just loves his new legs and the ability to run and have it feel real again. After he arrives, he learns of the greedy corporate figurehead Parker Seyfried's intentions of driving off the native Na'vi, specifically those in the Amatakayan clan. Because the clan's gathering place A giant tree called Home Tree stands directly above the richest deposit of unobtainium in the area. In exchange for his spinal surgery that will fix his legs, Jake gathers knowledge of the indigenous race and their culture. As Jake discovers the new world of the Na'vi, he meets a beautiful Na'vi woman named Natiri, who teaches him the values that her race shares. As Jake starts to see the world through her eyes, he realizes how much this new world matters to the Na'vi. Jake soon becomes supportive of the Na'vi's plight as he gains a better understanding of their ways. As he proves himself to be a worthy Na'vi warrior, he is eventually integrated into the tribe, and Natiri chooses him as a mate. With his alliances changed, Jake sabotages a bulldozer that was tasked with destroying a sacred site, an act that prompts the RDA to order the complete destruction of Home Tree. Back with the Na'vi, Jake acknowledges that he initially worked as a spy, which makes him a disgrace in the community. Wishing to win back favor with the Na'vi, Jake sets into motion a daring plan to connect his mind to a Toruk, an immense dragon-like creature both feared by the Na'vi, in order to redeem himself with the tribe. When he successfully binds with the Toruk and becomes its rider, he wins the respect of the Na'vi once more. Supported by the new tribal chieftain Tsute, gathers and unites the remaining tribes throughout all of the Pandora to fight the RDA. Throughout a series of fights, Jake, Natiri, and the rest of the Na'vi people manage to overtake the RDA and kill Miles. The rest of the humans are sent back to Earth, and Jake stays behind. Jake's consciousness is then permanently transferred into his avatar, and he lives on Pandora as chief of the Omaticaya, as Natiri as his mate. Now it's time to talk about some of the concepts that are in Avatar. One of them is New Age practices, and the other is monism, plus a few extra. I'll pull out some parts and examples in the film that express these, and I'll also give some background on what these concepts are. In 1970, American theosophist David Spangler moved to the Feinhorn Foundation, where he developed the fundamental idea of the New Age movement. It became a major movement, at which time it was centered largely in the United Kingdom. It expanded and grew largely in the 1980s and 1990s, in particular within the United States. Theologically, the New Age typically adopts a belief in a holistic form of divinity that imbues all of the universe, including human beings themselves. There is a strong emphasis on the spiritual authority of the self. This is accompanied by a common belief in a wide variety of semi-divine, non-human entities with whom humans can communicate, particularly through the form of channeling, which is almost exactly what we see in the people of the Omoticaya clan and the rest of the Na'vi people on Pandora. There's also a strong focus on healing, particularly using forms of alternative medicine, and an emphasis on the notion that spirituality and science can be unified. In the film, trees exist as a kind of channel between the Na'vi and Awa, their great mother. All the sacred places of Na'vi culture involve trees, aside from Home Tree, where Na'vi call home. There's the Tree of Souls and the Tree of Memories. The Tree of Souls is said to be the closest connection to Awa on Pandora. As pointed out to those wanting to destroy it, the tree is a point of extreme spiritual significance to the Na'vi, more so than any other point on Pandora. The Na'vi perceived themselves as completely bound to their environment, other living beings, and Awa on Pandora. The whole planet, it is suggested, is an interconnected network, practically a living, breathing organism in its own right. Now that I've mentioned Awa a lot, you might not know what that is, so I'm going to explain that and how it connects to the philosophy of monism. The Na'vi have developed a vibrant and complex culture based on the profound spiritual connections they have to this deity of Awa. They also have this connection to the rest of their world. Awa is the collective energy of all that is living and dead on the world of Pandora. I see Awa as kind of like a god character that gives them purpose and answers their deepest needs for connection. It's said in the film that Awa doesn't take sides, which implies that Awa is a god who is normally remote, detached, and impersonal. But Awa ultimately gets the native animals to fight in defense of Pandora when the RDA attacks them. It also shows that in times of trouble, the people retreat to Awa, kind of like to God. They say Awa will provide all of their needs, and in other scenes of the film, it suggests that being with Awa requires some sort of merge, where the person's soul is absorbed into Awa. A few examples of the people praying and connecting to Awa is when Jake's friend Grace is almost killed. The Na'vi are seen bowing down and chanting to Awa to save her. Grace ultimately dies, but it does show what the Na'vi do when they ask Awa for help. Neytiri's mother says that when a Na'vi dies, their body or their spirit goes with Awa and their body stays behind to become part of the people. This also happens after the RDA destroy Home Tree. The people are seen retreating back to Awa at the Tree of Souls and chanting and singing and mourning to her, asking for her help. Awa and all her characteristics are an example of monism. Monism is a theory or doctrine that denies the existence of a distinction or duality in some sphere, such as that is between matter and mind or God and the world. This doctrine is that only one supreme being exists. An example and subcategory in this film is the belief of pantheism, which is a type of monism. Pantheism is the doctrine that the universe conceived of as a whole is God, and conversely that there is no God, but the combined substance, forces, and laws that are manifested in the existing universe. On Pandora, everything is connected. All of the Na'vi, all of the animals are all connected to the planet. This is a clear statement of religious belief, and this is pantheism. Another connection I saw in this film that's not quite a philosophy or anything, but is something that I saw tied throughout that I thought was really cool. In the very beginning of the movie, when Jake finds out about his brother's death, he says, "The strong prey on the weak," which I think is really cool because that kind of connects throughout the film when between like connecting like his brother's death, which was in a senseless robbery, and the people wanting to kill the Na'vis for profit. This might have been a hidden reason Jake was so against the killing of the natives because of his personal connection to his brother. Overall, I want to say that I just think this is such a great film. And one of the things that James Cameron, the director, says about it in an interview, he said he tried to make a film that would touch people's spirituality across the broad spectrum. He also stated that one of the film's philosophical underpinnings is that the Na'vis represent that sort of aspirational part of ourselves that wants to be better, that wants to respect nature, while the humans in the film represent the more venal versions of ourselves, the evil that comes with corporate decisions that are made out of removing and the consequences of it. I really enjoyed getting to watch this movie again and look deeper into its meanings and the philosophical messages in it. I really encourage you to go watch it and enjoy looking at it from a different perspective.